So good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Sharing our light. So this morning we continue our theme of holiday light. And who remembers what that stands for? Anybody?
Holiday light.
Yes.
Holiday light.
Light.
Oh, light.
Light. The word light. Here we go.
Oh, we go.
All right. Living inside God's highest truth. And today we are going to explore the idea of living inside God's highest truth by sharing our light. Contemplate this for a moment. You are an expression of God, the great giver of life, the force of creativity and energy that is back of all things, to sound Holmesian. Is that a word? Holmesian? Like Holmes? Okay. It is your highest truth to be a giver to life, not in an obligatory way, but because it is your divine nature to give. Now, I know that this message is not always well received. In fact, there's a story attributed to the famous preacher John Wesley. It is told that he was once preaching a mighty sermon in which he said, "You should get all that you can." Many heads nodded in silent assent. Wesley continued, "You should keep all that you can," while the listeners buzzed with agreement. Several amens and hallelujahs rang out from the congregation. After pausing for the room to settle, Wesley added, "And you should give all you can." And there was silence. No one made a sound until from the back of the room drifted an intense whisper. Too bad he ruined a perfectly good sermon. Well, today I plan to give you a perfectly good sermon about giving all that you can. Because, as Ernest Holmes said in the Science of Mind textbook, when our thoughts rest entirely upon ourselves, we become abnormal and unhappy. But when we give ourselves with enthusiasm and any legitimate purpose, losing ourselves in the thing which we are doing, we become normal and happy. Let those who are sad, depressed, or unhappy find some altruistic purpose into which they may pour their whole being, and they will find a new inflow of life of which they have never dreamed. Or, as Arthur Ashe once wrote, "From what we get, we make a living. What we give, however, makes a life." Why? Because, as I already said, it is our divine nature to give. We are creations of the infinite giver. We are born to give. We shine our light when we do. Have you ever watched little children when they have something and they just can't wait to run and share it with you and give it with you? I'm getting to experience that a lot now. Now, to be clear about what I mean by our gifts to others, I want to share another passage from the Bible. It's the story of a lame beggar who asked alms of Peter and John as they were going into the gate of the temple. Peter said, "Silver and gold I have none, but such as I have give I unto thee. Arise and walk." And the man picked up his bed and he walked. "Such as I have give I unto thee." Those words are the key. Today we're talking about sharing what you have, sharing of yourself. Here's a list of 9 gifts that will not cost you a cent. The gift of listening. But you must really listen. No interrupting, no daydreaming, no planning your response. Just listening. The gift of laughter. Clip cartoons. Share articles and funny stories. Your gift will say, "I love to laugh with you." I often take pictures of the comics in the morning and send them to my girlfriends that will get it. You know, I mean, they're specific perhaps on grammar or something. I have a friend who's a history teacher and she used to be an English teacher. So I love to laugh with them. So I'll send something like that. Doesn't cost a thing. Number 3, the gift of appreciation. It can be a simple thanks for your help or thanks for being you. Heartfelt appreciation may be remembered for a lifetime, and it may even change a life. The gift of a compliment, a sincere and simple, "You look great in red," "You did a super job," or "That was a wonderful meal," can make someone's day. Number 5, the gift of kindness. Every day go out of your way to do something kind. It's pretty easy. The gift of solitude. There are times when we want nothing better than to be left alone. Be sensitive to those times and give the gift of solitude to others. The gift of a cheerful disposition. The easiest way to feel good is to extend a kind word to someone. It's really not all that hard to say, "Have a nice day." The gift of affection. No moving parts, no batteries, no monthly payments, and no fees. Inflation-proof, non-taxable. In fact, it's quite relaxable. It can't be stolen, it won't pollute. One size fits all, do not dilute. It uses little energy, but yields results enormously. Relieves your tension and your stress, invigorates your happiness. Combats depression, makes you beam, and elevates your self-esteem. Your circulation it corrects without unpleasant side effects. It is, I think, the perfect drug. May I prescribe, my friend, the hug? Be generous and appropriate. Appropriate is a key word here. With hugs, kisses, pats on the back, and handholds. Let these small actions demonstrate the love you have for your family and friends. Number 9, the gift of your presence. Sometimes it is simply the gift of our presence, especially when we are in a place of knowing that we are reflecting the presence, holding the high watch. There's a Sufi teaching which says, "Past the seeker as he prayed came the crippled and the beggar and the beaten. And seeing them, he cried, 'Great God, how is it that a loving creator can see such things and yet do nothing about them?' God said, 'I did do something. I made you.' We are here to help others who are here to help others, who are here to help others. We are in an infinite circle of giving and, in return, receiving. The universe operates through dynamic exchange. Giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of the energy of the universe. And in our willingness to give that which we seek, we keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives. Dr. Holmes, in the Science of Mind textbook, wrote, "When the law of circulation is retarded, stagnation results. It is only as we allow the divine current to flow through us on and out that we really express life. The law of giving and receiving is definite. Emerson tells us to be aware of holding too much good in our hands." In Buddhism, it is said that there are 3 kinds of givers. Beggarly givers, they give only after much hesitation and then just the leftovers, the worst of what they have. The underlying belief is that there's not enough, so they better get theirs first, right? Then there's the friendly givers. They give what they themselves would use. They share what they have, and with less deliberation and with more open-handedness. The underlying belief is that there will be more because we live in a friendly universe. Then there's the kingly givers, the highest of the givers. They offer the very best of what they have. They share spontaneously and in the moment without needing to deliberate. Giving has become natural to their conduct. Their underlying belief is that life is abundant. The universe provides in rich abundance. And I'll share a story that still stays with me of a neighbor. Actually, she wasn't a close neighbor. She lived across town a little ways, but she was one of our council members in Riverbank. And there was a house that caught on fire, and she was picking up her kids at a school nearby, drove by and saw the woman out there standing with 2 young children as, they were battling the fire in the house. She ran home without a second thought and gathered up, and somehow she knew exactly what size those children were just by looking at them, gathered up clothing that she had, she had 7 kids. And she brought back bags of clothing for that mother and said, "Here, you're going to need these." Just like that, without hesitation, just like that. That's the kind of woman she is, and without any thought of, or hesitation. St. Paul reminds us that we are at our best when we feel the freedom of giving from a deep sense of abundance. In Corinthians, he writes, "But remember this, he who sows sparingly shall reap also sparingly. And he who sows generously shall reap also generously. So let every man give according to what he has decided in his mind, not grudgingly or of necessity. For God loves a cheerful giver. And God is able to provide you with every blessing in abundance, so that you may always have enough of everything, and may provide in abundance for every good work." Here's a vivid example of a kingly giver. in the form of a little girl. A nicely dressed little girl was excitedly looking through the Barbie dolls with her father in a department store just a few days before Christmas. She had a roll of money clamped tightly in her little hand. When she came upon a Barbie she liked, she would turn and ask her father if she had enough money to buy it. He said yes, but she would keep looking and going through the ritual of, do I have enough? As she was looking, a little boy wandered in across the aisle and was sorting through the Pokemon toys. He was dressed neatly, but his clothes were obviously rather worn, wearing a jacket that was probably a couple sizes too small. He too had money in his hand, but it looked to be no more than $5 or so at the most. He was with his father as well, and kept picking up the Pokemon video toys, and each time he picked one up, he would look at his father, and his father shook his head no. The little girl had apparently chosen her Barbie, a beautifully dressed, glamorous doll that would have been the envy of every little girl in the block. However, she'd stopped and was watching the interchange between the little boy and his father. Rather dejectedly, the little boy had given up on the video games and had chosen what looked like a book of stickers instead. He and his father then started walking through another aisle of the store. With that, the little girl put her Barbie back on the shelf and ran over to the Pokemon games. She excitedly picked up the one that was lying on top of the other toys and spoke hurriedly to her father, and then raced to the checkout counter. Then, much to the little girl's obvious delight, the little boy and his father got in line a few people behind her. After the toy was paid for and bagged, the little girl handed it back to the cashier and whispered something in her ear. The cashier smiled and put the package under the counter. When the little boy came up to the cashier rang up his purchases and then said, "Congratulations! You are the 100th customer here today, so you win a prize." With that, she handed the little boy the Pokemon game. He could only stare in disbelief. It was, he said, exactly what he wanted. The little girl and her father had been standing at the doorway during all of this, and she had the biggest, prettiest, toothless grin on her face that she could have possibly had. As they walked out of the door, the father asked his daughter why she had done that. "Daddy, didn't Nana and Papa want me to buy something that would make me happy?" He said, "Of course they did, honey." And with that, the little girl giggled and started skipping toward the car. She had shared her light, living inside God's highest truth. In that moment, that little girl was living inside God's highest truth in a huge way. Marianne Williamson, in her book Return to Love, who's read Return to Love? Anybody read? Oh, it's such a good book. In every community there is work to be done. In every nation there are wounds to heal. And in every heart there is the power to do it. In every one of our hearts there is the power to do it. Now that's living inside God's highest truth. And so it is.